My friends, life is not just about surviving, it is about living with purpose. Every invention, every great change, every movement that shaped history started with one thing: a dream. I flew a dream that looked impossible, impractical, and even foolish to others, but someone dared to hold on to it, and more importantly, dared to act on it. The difference between a dreamer and a door is not the size of the dream, but the courage to take the first step. Dreams inspire us, but actions define us. You can dream of writing a book, but unless you start writing the first page, it remains a wish. You can dream of changing your life, but unless you take that one decision today, it will remain just a fantasy. You see, dreaming is free. Everyone can do it, but doing requires commitment. Doing demands sacrifice. Doing invites failures. And yet, it is only in the doing that life becomes meaningful. Every time you dare to do, you are shaping not only your destiny, but also inspiring others to believe in theirs. The truth is, fear will always whisper in your ear. It will tell you that your dream is too big, that you are not capable, that people will laugh. But remember, those who dare to do have always been laughed at first and applauded later. The world will doubt you until you prove them wrong, and then they will celebrate you as if they believed in you all along. So, dare to dream. Do not limit yourself to the cage of comfort. And then dare to do, because that is where the transformation happens. Let your actions give life to your dreams, and let your courage be louder than your fears. Life is too short to keep waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time never comes. It is your courage that makes the time perfect. Dream big, act small, but act now. That's the secret. So ask yourself, what is the dream that's been lying dormant in your heart? What is the step you've been postponing out of fear? Today is the day to take that step. Dream with your heart, do with your hands, and live with your soul. That is the true way to honor the gift of life. Every great achievement in human history was once nothing more than a fragile dream in the heart of someone who dared to imagine the impossible. When we look back at the discoveries, inventions, and revolutions that changed the world, we see a common thread. Before there was success, there was a vision. The light bulb existed in Thomas Edison's imagination long before it lit up a room. The airplane flew in the minds of the Wright brothers long before it touched the skies. The movement for freedom, equality, and justice began as a dream in the hearts of people who refused to settle for the way things were. A dream is not a luxury, it is the seed of all progress. It is not reserved for the talented, the wealthy, or the privileged. It belongs to anyone willing to think beyond their limitations. Dreams stretch our minds to possibilities greater than our circumstances. They invite us to imagine a future that is better, brighter, and bolder than what we see today. Without dreams, we live only in the present reality, chained to what already exists. With dreams, we create tomorrow. But here is the truth. Dreams are often ridiculed, ignored, and doubted. People will say, "Be realistic." as if reality is the only measure of what is possible. Yet the dreamers of yesterday are the reason we live with the comforts, opportunities, and advancements of today. To dream is to challenge the status quo. To dream is to say, things can be different, and I believe they will be. Every child dreams without hesitation. They dream of flying, of exploring, of achieving greatness. Somewhere along the way, society teaches us to shrink those dreams, to stay safe, to stay small. But the greatest gift you can give yourself is to protect that inner child who dares to dream big, even when the world tries to silence it. So, when you feel your dream is too small to matter or too big to achieve, remind yourself, every mountain climbed, every battle won, every invention created, every masterpiece painted, every nation transformed, began as nothing more than a dream. What makes dreams powerful is not that they are easy or obvious, but that they plant a vision in our minds that pulls us forward even when the path is unclear. Every great achievement begins with a dream, and your dream, no matter how small or distant it seems right now, has the potential to shape not just your life, but the lives of countless others who will one day benefit from the courage you had to dream it. The world is filled with dreamers. We all have thoughts of what life could be, ideas of what we want to achieve, and visions of the person we hope to become. But here lies the challenge. Dreams by themselves change nothing. They are beautiful, but they remain only pictures in our minds until we breathe life into them through action. The real difference between those who only dream and those who achieve lies in that one word, action. Imagine someone dreaming of writing a book. They picture the cover, imagine their name in bold letters, and feel the joy of readers quoting their words. But if that person never picks up a pen or never types a single page, the dream remains exactly what it is, a dream. Another person might dream of building a business, envisioning financial freedom, respect, and impact. But unless they take the first step, register the idea, work late nights, and embrace the struggle, it will never come alive. It is not the intensity of the dream that decides success, but the intensity of the action taken to pursue it. Action is uncomfortable. It asks you to leave your comfort zone, to wake up earlier, to stay focused when distractions are calling, and to face rejection without losing hope. That is why many people prefer to remain dreamers. Dreaming is safe. In your imagination, everything works out perfectly. But reality requires you to risk failure, to face setbacks, and to carry on even when the path feels endless. That is why the doers may not always be the most talented, but they are always the most committed. History is full of people who were ordinary dreamers, but became extraordinary doers. They did not wait until they were ready. They started before they were prepared. They stumbled, fell, and failed, but each failure only pushed them to act again with greater wisdom. That is the true spirit of a doer, understanding that action, not perfection, is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Every action, no matter how small, compounds. Writing a page each day eventually leads to a book. Saving a small amount regularly builds financial security. Practicing consistently develops mastery. A doer is someone who values progress over perfection and consistency over excuses. They understand that dreams are important, but without action, they are lifeless. So the difference is clear. A dreamer talks about what could be, a doer shows what can be. A dreamer waits for the right time, a doer makes the time right. A dreamer imagines the road, a doer walks it step by step. In the end, the world does not remember people for the dreams they had, but for the actions they took. It is through action that dreams leave the mind and enter the world, where they can inspire, uplift, and transform lives. Dreams cost us nothing. You can sit under the stars, close your eyes, and imagine a life filled with success, joy, and fulfillment. You can picture yourself in that perfect career, living in that beautiful home, or making a difference in the world. And in that moment of imagination, it feels wonderful. Dreams are free. They don't demand effort. They don't test your patience. And they don't challenge your comfort zone. That is why everyone loves to dream. But the moment you decide to turn a dream into reality, the story changes. Action enters the picture. And action always comes with a price, sacrifice, and courage. To act on your dream means giving up something. It might mean sacrificing sleep so you can study or work late into the night. It might mean sacrificing weekends of leisure so you can practice your craft. It might mean sacrificing relationships that drain your energy or habits that hold you back. Every doer learns quickly that nothing extraordinary is built without letting go of something ordinary. And that is where many people hesitate. They want the glory of the dream, but not the weight of the sacrifice. Along with sacrifice comes courage. Acting on a dream requires stepping into uncertainty. No one can guarantee you success. You might fail, you might be criticized, you might lose money or time. It takes courage to face the unknown, to keep moving when you have no assurance of the outcome. That courage separates the few who transform their dreams into reality from the many who simply admire their dreams from afar. Think about athletes who train for years before they stand on a podium, or entrepreneurs who risk their comfort to build something new, or artists who endure rejection before their work is appreciated. Their dreams were not free. They paid in sweat, in rejection, in long hours of perseverance. The world sees the success, but they lived the sacrifice. And behind every achievement was the courage to keep going when it would have been easier to quit. Dreams inspire us, but sacrifices shape us. Courage molds us. Without them, a dream remains only a pleasant thought, a private escape into a fantasy world. With them, a dream becomes a living reality that not only changes your life, but can also touch countless others. So yes, dreams are free, but actions are costly. They cost time, effort, energy, and courage. Yet, when you embrace the price, you realize something powerful. Every sacrifice strengthens your character, and every act of courage brings you closer to the life you once only imagined. The dream is free, but the journey is worth the price. Fear is a voice that never really goes away. It whispers to us in the quiet moments, in the late nights when we lie awake thinking about what could go wrong. Fear tells us that our dream is too big, that we are not talented enough, that others are smarter, stronger, or more capable. It paints vivid pictures of failure, embarrassment, and rejection. It convinces us that staying where we are is safer than stepping into the unknown. And the truth is, fear has a point, because stepping forward is risky. But if we allow fear to dominate our thoughts, we will remain stuck living a life that feels smaller than the one we were meant for. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward despite the whispers. It is the decision to say, I hear the voice of fear, but I will not let it decide my future. Think about it. Every person who has ever achieved something remarkable felt fear before they acted. The scientist presenting a new theory, the musician stepping on stage, the student sitting for an exam, the leader making an unpopular decision, all of them felt fear. What set them apart was that their courage spoke louder. The whisper of fear is persistent. It reminds you of your past failures and magnifies your weaknesses. It makes you doubt your worth. Yet courage speaks in a different language. Courage says, yes, you may fail, but you will grow. Yes, you are not perfect, but you are capable. Yes, the journey will be hard, but it will be worth it. Courage doesn't erase the risks. It simply makes you strong enough to face them. Consider a child learning to walk. Every step is filled with the risk of falling. Fear, if it could whisper in the child's ear, would say, stay crawling, it's safer. You won't get hurt. But the determination to stand, to grow, to move forward is louder. And because of that courage, the child learns to walk, then run, then live a life not confined to the ground. That is exactly how our dreams work. If we let fear dominate, we will never rise. But when courage speaks louder, we move, we stumble, we rise, and eventually we soar. The whispers of fear will always exist because they are part of being human. But courage is a choice, a decision to turn down the volume of fear and amplify the voice of possibility. The ones who build extraordinary lives are not those who felt no fear, but those who refuse to let fear silence their courage. When fear whispers, you can't, let your courage shout, watch me. When you share a dream with the world, one of the first reactions you may encounter is laughter. Not the laughter of joy or encouragement, but the kind that questions your sanity. People laugh at what they do not understand, and big dreams are often beyond the limits of what most consider possible. When you say you want to start a business, they might remind you of the thousands who fail. When you say you want to be an artist, they might smirk and ask how you'll pay the bills. When you say you want to change the world, they may mock you for being naïve. That laughter can sting, but history has shown us that it is often the prelude to applause. Think about the Wright brothers. When they spoke of flying machines, they were ridiculed. People said, if humans were meant to fly, we would have wings. Yet the same world that laughed later marveled as the first plane lifted into the sky. When Edison spoke of creating light from a bulb, many called it foolishness. But the laughter faded when entire cities began to glow with electricity. Time and again, those who dared to dream were mocked until they proved their doubters wrong. Then, the very same people who laughed became admirers, even supporters. This is the strange nature of dreams. They disrupt the comfort of others. When you share a vision that is greater than the average person's imagination, it makes them uncomfortable. Laughter becomes a shield to hide their own doubts and insecurities. Often, it is not your dream they are doubting. It is themselves. They project their limitations onto you because it is easier to laugh than to believe. But here is where your strength must rise. If you let the laughter stop you, your dream dies in its infancy. If you let the mockery discourage you, you will abandon the very thing that could have brought meaning to your life. Instead, let the laughter fuel you. Let it remind you that every person who accomplished something extraordinary walked through the fire of doubt and ridicule before they reached respect and recognition. One day, those same people who laugh at you will be the ones saying, I always knew you could do it. They will tell stories of how they once knew you, how they were there when you began, and how they saw your journey unfold. The laughter will be replaced with applause, the doubt with admiration. But for that to happen, you must endure the stage of being misunderstood. So when people laugh at your dreams, do not be surprised. It is the natural order of things. First they mock, then they watch, then they clap. Your job is not to prove them wrong in words, but in persistence. Keep going. Keep building, keep believing. Because in time, laughter turns to applause, and your dream becomes the proof that faith, resilience, and action are always stronger than doubt. One of the greatest lies we tell ourselves is that we are waiting for the right time. We convince ourselves that one day conditions will be ideal, the circumstances will align, and everything will fall perfectly into place. Then we say we will start chasing the dream, beginning the project, writing the book, launching the business, or making the change we long for. But if we are honest, that perfect time never arrives. Life will always have its share of challenges, distractions, and reasons to wait. Waiting for perfection is simply another way of allowing fear and procrastination to disguise themselves as patience. Look around at anyone who has accomplished something worthwhile. They did not wait for everything to be perfect. They began where they were, with what they had, often in conditions far from ideal. The greatest breakthroughs came from people who stepped forward in uncertainty, not from those who sat back and waited for certainty. If you think of parents, they rarely feel perfectly ready for the responsibility of raising a child, yet they step into it and grow along the way. Entrepreneurs rarely launch their ventures with every question answered. Yet their courage to begin teaches them what planning never could. Writers rarely feel prepared to tell the perfect story. Yet it is by writing that the words finally take shape. Perfection is an illusion. The truth is, there will always be bills to pay, responsibilities to manage, and doubts to silence. If you wait until everything feels secure, you may spend your whole life waiting. The only way to bring a dream to life is to create the right time yourself. That means acting now, even when conditions are imperfect, even when the path is not fully clear. Small, imperfect actions have built empires, while perfect plans often gather dust in forgotten notebooks. Creating the right time also means shifting perspective. Instead of saying, I will start when I have enough resources, you say, I will start, and resources will come as I grow. Instead of saying, I will act when I am confident, you realize that confidence is built by action, not by waiting. The so-called right time is not a date on the calendar. It is the moment you decide that your dream is worth the risk, worth the effort, and worth beginning today. History proves this. Many great leaders, inventors, and creators began in times of crisis, not comfort. They worked through wars, financial struggles, personal hardships, and social opposition. They did not wait for life to become easy before they moved. They moved despite the difficulty, and in doing so, they created a new reality. So when you catch yourself saying, I'm waiting for the right time, pause and recognize what that really means. It means postponing your life, postponing your growth, postponing your calling. The perfect time is not something you wait for. It is something you make. The moment you take action, the moment you dare to start, that moment becomes the right time. When people think of big dreams, they often imagine dramatic breakthroughs, giant leaps, and overnight success stories. But in reality, the foundation of every great achievement is built on something far less glamorous. Small, consistent actions repeated over time. A towering skyscraper is built brick by brick. A vast ocean is filled drop by drop. A mighty tree grows inch by inch, day after day. Big dreams do not come alive in a single moment of brilliance, but through the quiet persistence of small steps taken faithfully. Consistency may not look exciting in the short term, but it is the hidden force that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Consider a musician learning to play an instrument. Practicing for 10 hours once a month will never build skill, but practicing for 30 minutes daily creates mastery over time. A writer who commits to one page every day will have a complete book within a year, while the one waiting for inspiration may never finish a chapter. The athlete who trains regularly, even on days of fatigue, builds strength and resilience that no sudden burst of effort could achieve. The power of small actions lies in their compounding effect. Alone, each step may feel insignificant, but together they create unstoppable momentum. Just as drops of water carve canyons over centuries, your daily actions carve the path toward your dream. Success is rarely about doing one thing once. It is about doing the right things consistently, even when progress feels invisible. Consistency also builds character. It teaches patience, discipline, and resilience. It shapes you into the kind of person capable of holding the dream once it arrives. After all, a big dream achieved without preparation often collapses under its own weight. The daily actions, the small efforts, the unseen discipline, these are what prepare you for the responsibility of success. Of course, consistency is not always easy. It means showing up on days when motivation is low. It means doing the work when results are not immediate. It means trusting the process when doubts creep in. But this is precisely why consistent people eventually succeed. They outlast the ones who quit after the excitement fades. Anyone can take a few steps when the path is easy, But the ones who take small steps, even when the journey feels endless, are the ones who eventually reach the destination. So, if you feel overwhelmed by the size of your dream, break it down. Ask yourself, what small step can I take today? That step may look trivial, but it is the very heartbeat of progress. Over weeks, months, and years, those tiny actions stack up into something magnificent. One day, you will look back and realize that your dream, once so distant and impossible, has become your reality, not through one giant leap, but through countless small steps you refuse to stop taking. One of the greatest misconceptions we carry is that failure and success are opposites, as if you either win or lose, rise or fall, succeed or fail. But the truth is far deeper. Failure is not the enemy of success. It is the very road that leads to it. Every successful person you admire has walked through the valley of mistakes, setbacks, and disappointments. Failure is not a dead end. It is a detour that teaches, shapes, and prepares you for the destination you seek. Think about a child learning to walk. They stumble, fall, and sometimes even hurt themselves. But no parent ever says, "My child failed at walking, so they will crawl forever." The falling is not failure, it is learning. Without the repeated attempts, the wobbling steps, the countless falls, there would be no walking at all. In the same way, failure in life is not proof that you cannot succeed. It is proof that you are trying, stretching, and daring to go beyond where you are. Great inventors and leaders have always understood this truth. Thomas Edison famously said he did not fail thousands of times when creating the light bulb. He simply discovered thousands of ways that did not work. Each so-called failure brought him closer to the solution. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. Both of them faced rejection after rejection, yet those very failures became stepping stones that shaped their resilience and sharpened their vision. Failure has a way of humbling us, of stripping away arrogance, and teaching us perseverance. It forces us to reflect, to learn, and to adapt. Success that comes too easily rarely lasts, because it is not anchored in resilience, But success born from failure carries with it the strength of endurance and the wisdom of experience. It is failure that trains us to rise stronger each time we fall. The problem is not failing. The problem is what we believe about failure. Too often, people treat failure as a verdict instead of feedback. They see it as a final judgment on their ability rather than a lesson to guide their growth. But when you change your perspective, failure becomes a teacher. Every mistake says, "Not this way, try another." Every setback whispers, "You are closer than you think. Don't quit now." Every rejection reminds you that you are brave enough to put yourself out there. Success is built on a foundation of failures endured, lessons learned, and persistence maintained. Without those failures, the dream remains shallow. With them, the dream becomes solid, real, and unshakable. So the next time you fail, don't ask, "Why me?" Ask, "What is this teaching me?" Because each failure is not pulling you away from success, it is pushing you toward it. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the path every dreamer must walk, the process every achiever must embrace, and the doorway through which every extraordinary life must pass.